Unfortunately, excuse me. Unfortunately, I did miss Impact last night, but there are a top 10 ranking system, like they've been saying all month. They were gonna have the top 10 contenders for the heavyweight title, and I'm really actually shocked at the list, not just because of who's on it, but because the voting is totally different from the ranking system. Because if they still have their poll up, which is pretty weird. They still have their poll up, and I'll get to that later. But what I'm really shocked is, at first I was shocked that Kurt Angle wasn't on the list when I first saw this. But of course, Kurt Angle did give up his number 2 contender spot, which in a way I think is stupid for Kurt Angle. But the thing is, for Kurt Angle, he can make anything make sense because that's how good he is. Not just promos, but at wrestling. You can believe in Kurt Angle. Now, I even had to watch the little YouTube thing that they have because thankfully they have a little update thing about the shows. Like maybe there's maybe 1 or 2 4-minute clips or something like that. Maybe even 10 if we get lucky. But Kurt Angle did give up his spot. So what management had to do, and I'm reading this right now. So what management had to do, since Kurt Angle left the list, there was apparently a spot for the top 10, which I'm really confused about and disappointed by management, because if you look at the poll on who you wanted to be the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight title, or the top 10 would have been like this. Jeff Hardy had 25% of the vote, therefore he would have been number 1 on that list. Number 2 would have been Desmond Wolfe. Number 3 would have been Mr. Anderson. Number 4 would have been Kurt Angle, but he took off, so we can't count Kurt Angle. So number 4, in a way, would have been Sting. Now numbers 5, 6, and 7 would have been between the Pope, Rob Terry, and Matt Morgan. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's already 6 names. If I'm right, that's already 6 names. Hold on. Let me just restart that. I apologize. Just kind of trying to understand from the poll here and the results of the top 10. Now, like I said, number 1 would have been Jeff Hardy because he got 25% of the vote. Number 2 would have been Desmond Wolfe because he got 14%. Number 3 would have been Mr. Anderson because he had 10%. Number 4 would have been Sting with 7% because Kurt Angle dropped out of the top 10 because he, wanted to beat the top 10. Number 5, 6, and 7 would have been Pope, Rob Terry, and Matt Morgan. Number 8 would have been Rhino, who we haven't seen in a while, with 5% of the vote. And number 9 would have been Hernandez. And this is probably why they did this. I don't know why. But number 10 would have been a tie between AJ Styles and Abyss with 3% of the vote. And Jeff Jarrett would have been left out because he got 2% of the vote. And Brother Ray and Brother Devon each got 1% each of the vote, which is pretty sad. Now, with those numbers in mind, you would have expected that the fans' vote would have made the top 10. But, due to the ties, I'm guessing due to the ties, because like 3 people would have 6% and they would have had to decide the contenders from there. But it's like the championship committee doesn't give a shit about the votes. So I didn't watch Impact, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see Impact, so don't bash me or anything. But the thing is that not only did they not do anything about the list, and I got mail, which is awesome. They didn't do anything with the list, but they probably disregarded the entire list. And this is your top 10, which is really shocking because Sting got none of the votes. He barely got any of the votes. He got 7% of the vote from the poll, and he's number one. He's number one when he only got 7% of the vote. What does that tell you? Does TNA care? I mean, I'm not saying that Rob Van Dam versus Sting would be a great match. It'd be a great match, but 7% of the vote. Come on, people. Number 2, AJ Styles. He only got 3% of the vote. What does that tell you? 3%. Now, Jeff Hardy, it makes sense. He got 25% of the vote, but he's number 3. So at least they didn't drop all the way to like number 9 or something, so that's still good. Number 4, Mr. Anderson. Anderson only got 10% of the vote, and he's number 4. That makes no sense to me. Abyss, who only got 3% of the vote, is number 5. Maybe loyalty to Hogan, maybe loyalty to something else, maybe just because he's been TNA all year. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a title shot, but he only got 3% and he's number 5. When like Desmond Wolfe, he's number 6 and he only got 40% of the vote. He would have been number 2 if they went by the poll, because he's the only got 40% of the vote. He would have been number 2. Jeff Hardy would have been number 1. What does that tell you? The Pope, number 7. Well, it kind of makes sense because he originally won the 8-card stud tournament, which got him, an automatic title shot. But in a way, he deserves a rematch for the title. He never got his rematch. Never got his return title shot, in a way. So that's stupid on TNA's part. Number 8, Rob Terry. In a way, Rob Terry could have been ranked higher. I'm not saying that's bad for TNA, but Rob Terry should have been ranked higher, in my opinion. Number 9, Samoa Joe, who is not even on the poll here. Samoa Joe is not even on the poll, and he gets number 9. What does that tell you? Now, number 10, they did an X Division Battle Royal for number 10 since Kurt Angle left the top 10 poll. And Kazarian won that X Division Battle Royal, so he is number 10. Now, this is the one thing I kind of agree about, but are just disappointed by it, because Kazarian did get title shots, I think last year, 2008 or something like that, for a world title, when Kurt Angle held the title. So Kazarian does have that it factor and does have the thing, the little it factor and whatever else it needs to become a world champion. But in a way, Kazarian could have been maybe number 9, number 8, or something, because Kazarian does have potential of being a world champion. He's proven it over time. I'm just really disappointed by this top 10. I'm just really disappointed because some of the people shouldn't even be on the top 10 here. Apparently Championship Committee does have power in the company, but based on the votes on the poll here, it means the fans are ultimately screwed because they honestly didn't care. This is just sad for me and for a bunch of people, because Jeff Hardy should be number 1 contender in my mind. But then again, Sting does deserve a title shot. He hadn't had one in forever because he's Sting. Just because he's Sting to give him the number 1 thing. It's just sad. I'm just disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm just disappointed in this. Really disappointed.